Alright guys, you saw the title and thumbnails video. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing a 200 elo game, and I know that only technically one of the players is rated 200 elo and the other is rated 500 elo, but still. And yes, this game does live up to its name. This game really is pure chaos. Before I begin guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subs, that would really help the channel a ton. If you really enjoyed the video, you can also drop a super thanks. And if it's difficult to hear my voice or I just speak too fast, just turn on captions. Without further ado, let's just begin. So the game starts off with pawn to e4, which is the most common starting move. And then we have the most common response. Pawn to e5. A really quick thing that I'd like to mention, one of these players, well no, both of these players are actually playing from Germany. I usually just like to mention that because why not? And then we have the normal move of knight to f3. So far this is like the most common opening. But trust me, by move 20, things get bad really fast. Anyways, we have the move knight to c6. Then we have the move pawn to d4. So now it's already a pretty good move. Well, no, like a pretty normal game because you know, like maybe black will capture, white will capture, black will capture back, and then white will capture. However, this isn't actually a good trade for black because what's going to happen is that white will just develop the queen in the center where it could actually become a massive problem for black. So generally, when you like make a trade, you shouldn't just do it like only thinking about the material. You should also think about what's going to happen next and if it helps your opponent develop a piece. But okay. Instead, we have the move knight to f6. Which is already not a very good move because you can just push the pawn, kick out the knight over here, maybe even just take, like, over here, and that is exactly what happens. We have pawn takes on e5, and then this knight over here takes on e4, and now so far, like, it's like an okay game. Then we have bishop to c4, then we have bishop to e4, and now the game, it's already losing for black. By move 5, it's already losing. And we have the response, bishop to d2. And the reason this is not the winning move is because you should probably play something like this. Because, like, black just has to put back their bishop somewhere over here, I guess. And you can probably just keep attacking their bishop. So overall, yeah, it's going to be very bad. But that obviously doesn't happen. And there's a trade. And then, yeah, black accidentally blunders their knight. That's just a free knight. Well, no, not exactly they blunder their knight, but like, it gets captured, because I just noticed you can also just capture the bishop. That isn't the move you're supposed to play. To be honest, I'm not really sure what the move is. Well, now I know the move. Oh, this. You sacrifice the bishop, and then you capture the knight, so you win a pawn, and you destroy black's position. But that obviously doesn't happen, because this is a game between a 200 elo and a 500 elo. Instead, we have technically a trade, I guess. Then we have this knight going over here. The idea probably maybe to like build an attack on the f-pawn. We have the knight capturing. The queen moves over here. The idea is definitely checkmate over here. Like if the knight moves over here or something. Knight moves to g6, blocking this. And the reason this is losing, honestly, I'm not really sure why this is losing. We have queen to h5. And what you could probably do with black is like just castle and your whole position is totally safe. Or you can just push a pawn. That's probably what you can do. We have knight to e5. And the game is now pretty much just back to equal. And I'm pretty sure we already had this position before or something like it, I think. Well, no, like almost. Then we have queen to h5. Now it looks like it might just end by a draw, but obviously this game doesn't end in a draw. Then we have knight to g6. Then we have castles. Then we have pawn to f5. And now the game really is lost for black. Because you can do this move. Rook to e1. Because, well, if you take, already checkmate is possible. Now, obviously, no player is going to find mate in 9, but, like, you know, you can kind of try to find it already. Like, it's a pretty bad position. So instead, black pushes another pawn, and now it's mate in 7. Okay. And white can probably just do something like this, and, like, if the queen was here, or maybe here, you could just win the queen for free, pretty much. The rook moves and pins this pawn, although this doesn't really do much. Then we have just captures immediately. Knight captures, and now the game is literally losing. And instead of a normal move, like, listen, what you should do with black 100% of this position is just castle. Because it retains the advantage, and now you're king, although, like, the f-pawn is gone. The king is totally safe, but instead of that, we have a very weird move that honestly looks like a mouse slip. King to d7. This move totally loses the game. It's literally mate in 9. And white actually does find maybe the best move. I'm not sure if it's better to capture the queen or the rook. They find rook takes on d5. Well, apparently it's the rook. Now it's mate in 8, and the king has to move back. The king goes back, and the queen is captured. Black captures back, and now black is just totally losing the game because, like, okay, although they are technically up a piece, white still has their queen, and the king is just totally exposed and has just no defense whatsoever. The queen gives a check, bishop defends, knight moves in, and this literally just blunders a knight, but okay, we won't talk about that. And yes, black does capture the knight. The queen takes a pawn, the rook moves, and now white has almost completely lost our advantage. Because, like, the material is equal, but black's king isn't, like, in a totally just destroyed position yet. By the way, really quick thing I would like to mention. Why are these players playing with a 1 hour time control? Like, this game doesn't even last 10 minutes for both sides, so it would have just ended normally if it were a rapid game. Honestly, it's a little weird. But okay, guys, really quick thing that I would like to mention. If you ever start up a chess game, if you're not planning to actually, like, take the time to, like, actually think about the moves for, like, 30 seconds or more, don't make your chess game longer than, like, 15 minutes, because sometimes when your opponent is losing, they will intentionally just wait till their clock hits 0 because they'll hope that you'll literally just leave. So yeah, this definitely could have happened in this game, but it didn't happen. Instead, we have pawn to b4, which makes absolutely no sense. Like, instead of taking this free pawn, we have pawn to b4, okay. Then we have knight to e5. Again, I have no idea what these moves even accomplish, but okay, we won't question it. I think we have pawn to f4. No, apparently no. We have pawn to b5. I guess the idea is maybe to promote, but really it's not going to work. Then we have knight to c4. Queen finally captures. The knight attacks the pawn, and now the game is just losing for black entirely. I honestly don't know why, but there's probably some really weird move or something. Instead, we have pawn to a4. Okay. And now black is offering a trade, and this is actually probably a bad trade for white because they're only going to have a queen against a rook, bishop, and a knight. And yeah, the queen will get destroyed by those pieces totally. Like, yeah, the queen is just not going to survive. But instead of accepting the trade, by the way, I think it would have been like maybe equal if they accepted. No, white would have still been winning, okay. They would have kept the advantage. White moves over here. And really quick thing, guys, when you are playing chess, always make sure that your king has an escape, because if they don't, it's very possible that, like, the rook can come over here and just checkmate you if this rook goes over here, for example. But instead, we have rook to e2, which isn't a bad move, you know, it attacks this pawn. The pawn moves, another pawn moves, and now there's actually, like, space for white's king to escape. The rook moves, the queen moves, the knight captures, and white loses their queen in one move. What? Why? Like, okay, but this doesn't achieve anything. And white pushes their pawn again. And the knight just captures. And white doesn't even capture the knight. White just pushes a pawn. Even though the knight is free. Well, apparently, oh my. It's even worse than pushing a pawn. Honestly, I have no idea why, but okay. Oh. It's worse because you can, like, put the bishop over here, and it's going to be checkmate. Because, like, if you just bring the rook back over here, you can maybe, like, just do this, then, like, the rook could go over here, then you could go over there, then the rook could go over here, then you go over there. Then if they capture, and they just push a pawn, checkmate. That's probably why it's such a bad move. But okay, we have the move pawn to h4. Apparently, this player found something that I actually didn't find in the beginning, but okay. The bishop captures a free pawn. White captures the knight, finally. The rook gives a check. King has to move. And now mate is on the board. Well, yeah, mate in 25. Well, no. Mate in 25. It's like between mate in 25 and mate in 26, but okay. Then the bishop gives a check, which now the rook is just totally gone. The king moves, and it's literally mate in 1. Rook to h1 is just mate in 1, but that didn't happen in the game. Instead, the bishop took the rook. I mean, it's still mate in 3, so yeah, it's still totally dead lost for white, but okay. Like, how did this go from a very winning position for white to this? I honestly have no idea, but okay. We have pawn to g4. Black captures. And then we have pawn to f4. Now, why in all of my videos do the players not play en passant? Just play it. Like, why does nobody play en passant? Okay, we won't question it. We have rook to a8, obviously preparing maybe like a ladder checkmate, like maybe the rook will go over here, then this rook will go over there, and the king has to go over here. Sorry, guys. And then the rook goes over here, giving a checkmate, probably. Pawn's pushed. Wait, no. Yeah, it's totally lost for white. Yeah. But that obviously doesn't happen. And instead, well, no, white does just push the pawn. Black actually does give a check, but it's just mate m5, but still, there's no surviving that. And another pawn push to protect this pawn. So yeah, black is playing this pretty well, like they've totally got back like the advantage. And white just pushes their pawn. Black gives a check, the king has to run. Black gives another check, the king has to run again. They give another check, king runs. And now black is attacking this pawn. The king goes to defend the pawn and attack the rook. The king goes to defend the rook. The pawn is pushed. And white does make a queen. And black instantly captures it. And white captures the rook. Then the pawn is pushed. And then white tries to stop the pawn, and they actually do succeed. And then this pawn, it promotes. White runs away. Then a check. White's king has to move. The rook captures. And then white plays the move h6 and gets checkmated on g7 by the queen. What did we just watch? Like, this game, it's not bad. Like, it's not horrendous. Like, especially considering the game I reviewed yesterday. This game is not bad by any means, but, like, this game, it was just pure chaos. Like, can we just re-review that? Okay. A normal opening. A very, well, no, not a very normal opening. Like, a few changes to the usual opening. Then, a piece being blundered in less than 10 moves, apparently. Then a checkmate threat, but it didn't happen. Then shuffling moves, then castles. And then this attack, which I did not see at all, but okay. And then checkmate literally being on the board by move 14. And then like the advantage going back to black entirely. And then this weird move that honestly just looks like a mouse slip. And then black lost their queen. And then white lost their knight. And then white began just destroying the king side. Well, no, the queen side, technically. And then they shuffled pieces, the two players. Black offered a trade, white refused. And then black tried to go for the opponent's pawns, but it didn't work. Then white made escape. And then white brought their rook up. And then the queen looked like it was going to try to attack the king, but it didn't work. And then the knight captured a free pawn. And then the pawn was pushed, and this blundered the queen in one move. The pawn was pushed. Knight captured. And then pawns just kept getting pushed, the knight was captured. And then the king had to go up, do the checks. Then white also blundered the rook. And then the players just shuffled moves until, well, white got checkmated. Well, that was definitely chaotic. Without further ado, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. And by the way, if you have any suggestions, you can comment them down below. And yeah,